Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 26. Excited to be jumping in live with you once again for our 26th straight day. Now, you might be noticing something different if you are seeing the video here. Got my M up. For those that have been following me for a long time, I've had people ask me, "Where's your M in your background of your office?" And I'm like, "Well, I got to figure out a way to put it up, and I had to fix it a little bit. It's a little old, but it definitely is just super cute." It was one of those purchases that you get that you weren't looking for. I think I was going through like TJ Maxx, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is $8, and it's an M. I wish I had one for like every letter of my name." But here we are. Aside from the point, good morning to everybody that is tuning in, whether you're watching live or the replay, but hashtag live or replay. We are going to be diving in on the topic of stewarding your boundaries. I know when it comes to boundaries, this can be a hard one, something that we all want, but what are we doing to put boundaries in place? You know what I find? A lot of people want to place boundaries. They want to put them there. They want them to be concrete, but many don't. And then what happens when you don't place boundaries is a lot of times lack of boundaries can turn into gossip. Lack of boundaries can turn into gossip because now you're gossiping about somebody else or something else or what have you, rather than you laying down that boundary and just creating that clear line. I know that word is for somebody. A lack of boundaries can create space for gossip, for sure. For sure. Unfortunately, I have definitely been there. I've been there. And instead of me laying that boundary down, I complained about the person or the situation or whatever. And I wasn't stewarding the boundary that I should have created. It is up to us to create those boundaries. We need to create boundaries. It's for our own like sanity, health, for other people as well. This year, I feel like I've had to create so many boundaries with so many different things that I would once give attention to because I felt bad or I felt like it needed me or I wanted to help create a solution because, I have that like captain save him mindset. Like I want to save them all. I want to help everybody and everything that I can. But just because you can doesn't mean you're supposed to. So we get to create boundaries. Inside of our company, I talk to a lot of moms that really struggle with this. They do. They're like, well, I want to create this business and I want to have freedom for my family, but my kids require a lot of me. My kids require a lot of me. And I remember the day the Lord downloaded this in my spirit, and I share this with anybody that I meet. If you don't create boundaries around things that come into your life, like if you don't create boundaries, the things that God has brought into your life to set you free, for you to steward, those things are now at risk and not flourishing because you didn't set the boundary. So a boundary that he downloaded into me was unless your kids are bleeding, crying, need to go to the hospital, like not even crying, just bleeding or need to go to the hospital, like, or whatever, like then you need to create that boundary as mom or dad is busy in this hour. Unless somebody's bleeding or somebody's not breathing, like I need to have this time because it's going to benefit all of us. And then you can gamify it for them. When mommy or daddy reaches this goal, then we all get to X, Y, and Z. We get to do blah, blah, blah. We're going out for ice cream. We're going to go on this trip. Like gamify it for them. So they're invested. I'm like, okay, if I leave mom and dad alone, then I will be able to, it'll benefit me because everybody wants to know what's in it for them. And kids don't understand that until you teach them and you show them, look, hard work will pay off, but hard work requires boundaries. Goals and visions and dreams require boundaries. So boundaries are very healthy. They can be hard to make, but they're healthy for everyone involved. Even if the other person doesn't agree, it's like, look, like this has to be created here for the better good. And not everybody's going to agree. And that's okay. You have to stick with your gut and your discernment of why am I creating this boundary and really digging into why. Because sometimes people just create a boundary because they don't want to deal with, what's the word? Conflict. They don't want to deal with conflict. I tell people conflict and I have been friends for a long time. And what do I mean by that? I have no problem getting in the boat, tipping it over, filling it up with water, rocking it hard. And people are like, whoa, you're really rocking that boat. It's like, look, let's get in there and let's fix it. Let's quit ignoring the elephant in the room. A slow leak, I think, is always worse than a big gush. A slow leak is always worse than a big gush. What do I mean by that? A slow leak, you might not notice it. Like if you have a crack in your pipe under your house, right? Drip, drip, drip. You're not going to notice that. But over time, that slow drip is going to turn into a big problem. But if you had a big gush, something more noticeable, then people fix it. They wait for the big gush to fix things, but it's the little drips that will get you and break you down and create the mold, right? If you had a little drip under your house and that drip creates mold, that mold's going to turn to a bigger problem. But a big gush, you're going to deal with it instantly. So pay attention to the little drips and the big gushes, of course. But boundaries are so important. So I'm talking about boundaries today because so many of us probably need to set them. There's a lot that I've been setting. I mean, within the last couple months that have blown my mind. Blown my mind. But I know it's for the better. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it's for the better. And boundaries are there for a couple of things: to protect your peace. Protect your peace, protect you from other things. I don't know about anybody else, but one of the things I've been learning big time, and it really has just hit me within the last couple of months. I don't know why, but it has. The free will aspect of human beings. The free will aspect. Let's dig in on this a little bit. God gave us free will. He's not going to force you to do anything. You have free will. Now, one of the things I noticed about myself, and this is not a proud moment, this is not something I love sharing, but I'm going to share it for context. There was a lot of times where I'm like, I know my way is right, and you need to see it my way, do it my way. Otherwise, you're wrong. And that's a form of manipulation. That's a form of bullying. That's a form of control. Like, I'm sorry if I ever did that to any of you. I publicly apologize. But I was always trying to bend people to what I want. And a lot of people do that because you feel like your way is the right way. Now, when it comes to free will, you could think this person knows better. You can think this person's going to do better. A lot of people talk, but their actions will tell on them and what they truly believe and what they truly are pressing into. But, oh gosh, it's just, there's so much on this subject. When people, they will talk all day long. Let's just put it this way. They will talk all day long, but their actions will prove. I'm just going to leave it there so I don't go on like a million rabbit trails here this morning. But free will is a really big thing. And when you set boundaries with people and you say, hey, this is my boundary, and if people go beyond that, then they've already told you your answer of what it is that you're going to do. Whether you're going to walk away, whether you're going to give space, whether you're going to go in another direction, like they will tell you. Because if you set the clear boundary of here's where I am at, this is what I need, and this is a non-negotiable, and they do something else, and it's like, okay, thank you. You've given me my clear answer. I set the boundary. Maybe I wasn't 100% clear, but I said it anyways to be obedient to what God's asking me to do, to what I know I need to do. And then if people choose to do something else, then it's completely up to them. We don't have to agree on everything. People don't have to agree on everything. I hope somebody's really listening to that. Too often people want to agree because it's the easier thing to do. They just want to be like, oh, I'll just do it and just get it over with and it'll be fine. No. There are times you need to walk away. There's times you need to hang it up. Times you need to make hard choices that you don't want to make, but people are forcing you to make based off their actions. You have to be able to be okay with that because ultimately it's going to protect your peace. I've had some recent things happen in friendships where I've had to set some clear boundaries where it was not easy. And there's still room for change, but I'm not seeing it. And their actions are showing me what they really do believe and what matters to them. And that is going to rip every piece. Like it's going to attack my peace in such a heavy way. It's like, I'm not here for that. I'm not here for that. And I've had to make some hard choices and some hard ones that I know are still on the way. And that's okay. Because at the end, you are going to do what you need to do for you. And it's going to maybe be a learning lesson for them. Like there's so many boundaries, whether it's with our children, whether it's with even our spouse, whether it's with friends. And let's talk about all the other things that aren't closest to us that are constantly stealing our peace and attention. We talked about attention on day 25, stewarding that. So many things out there we need to draw boundaries. We talked about on day 25, saying no. You get to say no. Because when you say no, you are giving a better yes to something else. You're giving more time to the things you actually said yes to that you know you should be doing. But often we say yes to everything so we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings or we don't want to be rude or what have you. No is a great answer. No is a great answer. It's a clear answer. Too many people live in this gray area. They say yes, but. It's a yes, but. Just say no. No is okay. And when it comes to stewarding those boundaries, go where God leads you. And that takes discernment. We've been talking about discernment like this entire time when it comes to stewarding, because it truly does take discernment. Like, only go where he's leading you. Only, period. And if you don't know what that is, sit and be still until he tells you where it is. Don't be haste. Don't make quick decisions, rash decisions, just because maybe it's a little painful, a little uncomfortable. Like, there's a reason for it all. And ask him for, like, okay, what are you trying to show me? What do I need to learn? What? Not why. Why? Why is this happening? It's what? What do I need to learn? Go where he leads. In this situation I've been telling you with, happening in some important relationships in my life, the old me would have rushed into a decision, just ripped off the Band-Aid and been like, we're out. But I'm slowly listening, attentively listening, I should say, and I'm not hasty to make any actions, because, hey, if something needs to be done and God's leading me to it, he'll give me the blueprint, the roadmap, and it probably will not come as fast as I want it to come. And that is okay. But in his timing and his revelations and what he wants to reveal to me, it will be done the way it should be, not in haste, not cause probably any more damage that needs to be caused. Things will be uncomfortable when it comes to creating boundaries. It will. That is a promise. That is a guarantee. It will be uncomfortable, but then you will feel this piece of like, man, I should have maybe done that a long time ago. Or like, I'm so glad that we're doing this now. Like, I hope somebody's hearing what I'm saying. I was talking with a mom a couple months ago that was talking about how I want to, I want to grow. I want to learn. I want to create income for my family. But, I have 4 kids and no help, and I have no time. And I'm like, well, if you talk to your husband and let him know, like, bring him in on the vision and bring him in on what it is you want to do. You are not just a mother that gets to tend to her children, cook, clean, and do things in the house. You are a woman with goals, with visions. There's so much more to you. So why don't you share that with your husband? Yeah, but what if he doesn't? What if he does? What if he does? From that conversation, this woman had a conversation with her husband, shared with him what it is that she wants to do. And it was literally, it felt like almost instantly they hired help to help with the kids for a certain amount of time so she could focus. She could focus on herself. She could focus on her dreams, her goals, her visions, and bringing in an income for the family through our opportunity because of that conversation. So many of us don't want to have conversations with our spouse even because it might be uncomfortable, but how are they ever supposed to know? How are they ever supposed to know where you're really at? I had a conversation with a lady yesterday that is over twice my age, and I am 34. More than twice my age. And in this conversation, she was just like, I need to be poured into. I just need some help. And a lot of that actually turned into a marital conversation. And in the pit of my stomach, I was like, who am I to talk to this woman who's been married probably longer than I've been alive? To be honest, who am I? But I knew in that moment, the Lord gave me the wisdom and I spoke into her. And at the end, she just felt so encouraged and empowered to go have a conversation with her husband, to share with him truth, to share with them what's really been going on, to share with him her vision, her goals. Ladies, you think your spouse knows, but have you really shared with them and told them? Have you? Guys, gentlemen, you think your woman knows, but have you openly, vulnerably shared with them? Why are we so scared to share with our person? Why? Why are we so scared for that? What are we afraid of? This is our person that God gave to us. Doesn't mean they're not going to come with emotions and feelings that may not be favorable. It could happen. Have space and grace for that. And share with them anyways. Share with them anyways. My husband and I have had so many hard conversations. Dear Lord, it's been like, there's days it's like a straight up battlefield with like smoke smoldering all over the place. We've only been married for 4 years. And it doesn't mean that our marriage is in the trash. It doesn't mean that we're not going to make it. It just means like, for me, he figured this out as a wife. Like, I go head on into problems. Like, we're going to get in there and we're going to fix it. That's what we're going to do. I'm not leaving 1 inch for the enemy to come into either of our minds to pin us against each other. Because I will tell you, there are times in our marriage where I don't even see my husband's face. I see something else. And the enemy's trying to use whatever spirit he can to come at me. And I'm like, babe, I know this isn't you talking to me right now. It's whatever thing is taking over this conversation. And I rebuke it. Period. Period. Understand that you're sometimes not even talking to your spouse. It could be another force. Straight up. Straight up. I have physically seen it. I have seen it in the physical. Now, I know this is a bit of a rabbit trail from boundaries, but is it though? Is it? Is it? So often we like actually try to think we're protecting people that we love from things that we really want to do. And honestly, it's probably a fear. What if they reject it? What if they don't agree? What if they don't understand? Then get so good at creating this space where they can share where they're at. And then also keep at it because people need to see the proof. They need to see the results. Results matter. Talk is cheap. And we get to create boundaries, which creates peace, which also creates focus on the things we need to focus on. If we let every little thing come into our path to distract us, then we are not stewarding what God has given us. Boundaries are key. Even from people that you love. There are boundaries I have to create for people that I love where it's like, I see them calling. I'm like, yep, nope, not right now. Definitely not right now. I don't know what's coming, but all I know on the other end of that, I'm not making space for that at this point in time. I will wait until I have the space because it is not going to be conducive to where I need to be focused right now. But I do tell people, if you call me twice, back to back, I know it's an emergency, I will call you back. So there is that layer. But you have to create these boundaries. It is crucial. It is vital now more than ever because there's going to be so many things that are going to try to come in to steal your attention, steal your time, steal your focus, steal your peace. So if you want more peace in your life, create boundaries. Limit the time you're on social media. Limit the time you're watching Netflix. Limit the time you're limiting to those, you're listening to those limiting beliefs. Create boundaries around time that you need to focus on building into what's next. A lot of people, I hear it all the time. Oh, I want to build this business because I want freedom with my family and da. Yet they don't create time to build the business. They don't put a boundary around it. So you are literally never going to get what you say that you want ever until you create that boundary. Boundaries are sacrifices in certain seasons. They are. Like for those that love to use the 4-letter curse word I've been talking about during this whole like live campaign here, busy, that 4-letter curse word, busy, in my opinion, it's a curse word. People will overuse it way too much. For those people that categorize themselves as very productive, busy, full plate, right? Like you're never going to have time to really do anything, but you can always create the time and find it. We have the same 24 hours. If you took 3 different blocks of 8 hours. You have 8 hours to work, 8 hours to sleep, and another 8 hours to do, you fill in the blank. What are you using those hours for? What are you using? And there's a compound effort. Maybe it's only 1 hour a day you have to work on things. Well, this hour is a non-negotiable. Maybe it's 2. 2 turns into 4. 4 turns into 5 hours a day. I mean, you can compound time. You can compound time throughout the week. So if you had 1 hour, like 5 days a week, 1 hour a week, 5 hours to work on something, you can get somewhere. You can get somewhere. You can. I've seen it done. It's possible. It's up to you to create those boundaries, though. How bad do you want it? And honestly, it's not even about how bad we want it. It's being obedient. It's being obedient. A lot of us will not compare, but we'll do like okay, I need to be obedient, but how do I feel right now? What do I want? What's feasible? What's easy? God's not looking for the easy. He's looking for your yes, period. Not a yes, but. Period. Period. But he's never going to force you, right? Free will. He will never force you. Sometimes I'm like, Lord, can you just force me to do this? It'd probably make it easier. My personality. It would make it so much easier. But he is not that. He is loving. He is gracious. And he wants you to choose. So I will end with this. You get to choose when and how you draw those boundaries in your life. Because I can almost guarantee anybody who's listening, watching live on the replay, anywhere you're listening, you know there's boundaries you need to create. And you're probably like, ugh, I don't know if I want to do that. Can I do that? You can. Now just sit and be still. Be like, okay, Lord, how? What's next? What does this look like? What? The question is what, not why. It's what and then how. What and then how. And I hope that helps somebody. So thank you for tuning in for day 26, and we will see you tomorrow for day 27.